Hello, and welcome to the Will to Win podcast. This is Alex Muir, helping millennial professionals reach peak mental and physical performance. And in today's special guest series, we have a very special guest, Melissa Krivachek. Melissa is a serial entrepreneur, philanthropist, consultant to the 1%, and a 10-book author, and currently writing her 11th book right now. And I now welcome you, Melissa Krivachek. And this episode is brought to you by RadioGuestList.com, the #1 free radio guest, podcast, and talk show guest expert interview booking service on the internet. Melissa, welcome to the podcast. Sorry for the delay there.
You're good. Hey, Alex, how are you?
Good. Yeah, for some reason, when I send a link, sometimes it takes a little longer to get through, or I don't know what's going on. Because usually what I do is I can invite people as soon as they favorited my podcast. I can invite them all within the app, but sometimes there's a little bit of delay. So apologize for that.
It's weird because I've always had an issue with this Anchor app.
Yeah.
So every single person that's invited me on that's used this app, they're like, I don't know, what's wrong with your phone? I'm like, dude, my phone is brand new.
Yeah. But for next time, I'll just make sure next episode that we have on as well, I'll make sure that I just send the link to you. Probably your cell phone would be the easiest. So.
Okay, cool. Is there going to be actual questions that you use, or you're just going to freestyle this?
I actually have some questions written down. I did a little background homework there on you. Yeah. And
Okay.
I definitely got some questions for you. And the first question that springs to mind there was actually when I was reading your website is what is a spiritual based value system?
Oh, so a spiritual-based value system literally just means that you are into spiritual things. It could mean prayer, it could mean yoga, it could be meditation, it could be just something to get your mind right. And I think that's a lot of things that most people fail at, is taking the time to actually just sit down and be quiet and empty their mind. It could even be writing. Just some creative outlet for you to help yourself focus on the things that you actually need to be focusing on, and taking all the rest of the things that are floating around in your brain out of it.
Right. And from your clients, because again, your website says that you deal with the top 1% or the top 1% of clients. What kind of strategies do they use for kind of silence for the first hour of the morning? What do you find is most significant that people do?
So a lot of people walk around outside barefoot and they let their feet touch the grass. And the reason they do this is it's called grounding. Basically, like the energy of the ground and the energy of your body make a connection. And when you do that, it allows you to get grounded. And essentially you're cleansing your body and your mind of any negative energy that you might have carried with you. And so it sets the tone of the day, because you're not allowing electronical information, emails, social media, all kinds of other stuff to invade your time that you've set aside to set the road for the rest of the day.
Okay, that's very interesting. I've heard that. I mean, I've heard of grounding before, but I've also heard another term, nature bathing. Is that just the same as just going out in nature, going for a walk in a trail or something like that?
I would say these are a little bit different. So I do the nature bathing every morning, 10 miles, and I love that.
Wow.
But this particular thing is like just letting yourself be with nature, specifically the ground, to get yourself in just a space of knowingness, of being. And so a lot of people have so many things going on in their lives, which is fine, but at the end of the day, like, you need to know that tomorrow morning you're going to have to be in a state of mind that you can do all the things that you want to do in a time frame that's compatible with reality. In order to do that, you need to set aside all of the distractions and get yourself in a state of mind. And so the easiest way to do that is just to bring the energy of the ground up with you into the energy of the body.
Okay.
These things I rarely talk about, so you're asking some very good questions here.
Yeah. Because it just caught my eye right away. Spiritual based value system. Like that's an interesting statement. So yeah, I had to ask about it. And then another thing I always like to ask my guests is kind of what does your daily ritual look like for yourself? And what time do you wake up and what time do you go to bed? And then in between then, what does your daily activities look like?
5 a.m., 10 miles. So this is like a little bit aggressive for most people, but you got to start small. So maybe start with 2 miles, 3 miles, something, but don't pick up your phone. Don't pick up your notebook, your tablet, or any other thing that you have laying around that's an electronic device. Literally just head outside and start your day right with some form of exercise. For me, it's 10 miles, but for you, it could be something completely different. And so get your body moving. When you get your body moving, it's magic happens. It just automatically does. And everything that should take 6 hours takes 3, and things that should take 3 hours takes an hour and a half. So you can literally condense time by doing these things. And then once the 10 miles are up, I basically come home, make breakfast. So I'm big into breakfast. Breakfast literally means breaking the fast. The way that you do that is you create something that your body is going to enjoy. And so I like to do vegetable omelets and orange juice. So you can do whatever you want, but again, this shouldn't be fast food or garbage. You're trying to set
Sure.
You're trying to set the tone for the day. So I think breakfast is super important. Then, go shower and do all that kind of fun bathroomy stuff that us women love to do, and then really just get to work. So work can mean a lot of different things, right? It could mean speaking on stages. It could be doing podcasts, could be getting in magazines, working with clients on large projects. So this goes on throughout the day. And I believe in time chunking. So basically, like, you're working on a project for 60 to 90 minutes. And at the end of that time chunk, you're getting up. And again, you're going outside to be active. So it could be just 20 minutes of walking around the block, fresh air, sitting out on the deck, doing whatever. But again, you want to make sure that you're getting enough sunshine. Because for us entrepreneurs, we tend to be locked up a lot in our chairs. So we're deficient in vitamin D. And that goes for people that aren't entrepreneurs too. So make sure that you're doing something to get outside and taking that, like, just mental break from your task. And then after that, go get some food for lunch, which is typically a salad. I'm pretty boring, but it is what it is. And then after that, get back to work for several more hours. And then at the end of the night, just take a bath, relax, throw on some music, some meditation music, meditate, burn some candles, just really get into that relaxing state of mind. Now, of course, with this virus, there's a bunch of craziness, kids running around the house, and a lot of more noise than we would normally have. It's a little bit more challenging to stick on this thing that I've built. But look, even if you miss 4 miles one day, you're not going to try to make 14 miles the next. Or even if you skip lunch one day, you're not going to try to it's not going to break you, right? So you don't have to be stingent about it, because entrepreneurship is all about flexibility, and the more flexible you are, the greater your results are going to be.
I like that. I'm just writing all this down. Some really good notes.
Okay.
No, that's really intense. Yeah, no, I like it. Yeah, and I really believe in that time chunking. I'm a big fan of Tim Ferriss, and I listen to his podcasts at least once a day, every day.
Okay.
And then Entrepreneurs on Fire by John Lee Dumas. Have you heard of him?
I've been on the show. He's been on my show. Yes, indeed.
Oh wow, that's incredible. Awesome.
I love John.
Yeah, and and one thing that they all talk about is that time chunking, and I started utilizing that fairly recently, within the last couple of years, and it works wonders. It works very well. And then doing the exercise first thing, very, very helpful as well.
Yeah, that works for a couple of reasons. It works because it's first thing. So I don't know about you, but for me, I hate exercise. So first thing, you're just going to go ahead and eat the frog and get it over with. And if you don't know that saying, that basically means like you do the one thing you don't want to do right away. And then the second thing to that is just like, it's a big chunk of time that you're committing to yourself. So if you can commit to yourself that early in the morning, you've already set a pretty good mental pace to go throughout the day.
Yeah, no, totally true. And what's the name of your podcast?
The name of my podcast was The Millionaire's Hot Seat.
Millionaire's Hot Seat. That's so cool.
Yeah, I ran that show for 4 years. I interviewed over 300 millionaires. It started as a book, actually, that I wrote in 2014, I guess.
Oh, yeah, and that brings me to my next question, your books. You've written a lot of books.
I have indeed written 10 books. I'm actually writing number 11 right now because I have all this extra time on my hands.
Wow, that's incredible.
When you're locked in the house, you apparently can't go anywhere. But yeah, I've written 10 books really just about love, success, and happiness. And at the end of the day, it's, you know, how do you figure out what you want to do? And you only can do that by knowing who you are. So if you don't know who you are and you don't know why you're doing something, the how is not going to happen. So I'll give you an example of this. A little boy showed up at my door yesterday. I'm not really sure why he's out right now, but he shows up and I'm yelling from the couch because I'm in the middle of an email saying like, who's there? And of course the kid is like 6 years old. So I go answer the door reluctantly and he says, can I take out your trash for $1? And I was like, well, what are you going to do with this $1? And he's like, I don't know, probably save it. I was like, save it for what? And he, like, I was trying to like interrogate this kid. And I realized like he didn't know why. So I said, I tell you what, you go figure out why you want money to take out my trash. And then come back and tell me why you want this money, and I'll happily give you money to take out my trash. The point is that if he didn't know why he was trying to get money, and I suspect it's because his family needs to eat and, you know, they don't have income coming in right now, that's a totally different ask than, can I take out your trash for $1? Because I could give $10 for the same task. So you can get paid more by knowing who you are and why you're doing something than by not knowing who you are and why you're doing anything at all. You're just simply asking to ask, which makes no sense.
There's got to be meaning behind the ask. You got to know.
Yeah, but you also have to know who you are and how valuable you are. So as human beings, we oftentimes devalue ourselves. And so we'll say like, oh, we'll do this project for this amount of money. And then we'll negotiate it. Well, look, my price is not negotiable. And the reason it's not negotiable is because I know what I'm valued at and I know what I bring to the table. So as a parent, as a sibling, as a business owner, as, you know, a fitness instructor, whatever the case is, whatever you are, whatever your career is, you just need to know that you bring tremendous value, and you need to stop discounting yourself, because every time you discount yourself, you're lowering your self-confidence. And when you lower your self-confidence, pretty soon you'll plummet into this massive conversation in your head about how unworthy you are of having these certain goals and how hard it's going to be to achieve them and all of this kind of stuff, when that's not actually the reality. The reality is you're amazing and you can achieve it. You just need to know that you're valued at something that some people are willing to pay and some people are not, and that's okay.
And how do you help your clients develop that, that absolute conviction in what they do and their passion?
Well, so the 1% obviously already have this conviction. And not only do they have this conviction, they are oftentimes living and breathing their achievements. So their ego is attached to their achievements or their titles. And this is scary. So you need to figure out like this balance between having your ego attached to your title and having your ego attached to your accomplishments versus just understanding what you're worth. So I understand that I'm highly valued. That doesn't mean that I can't bring value to situations that are not paying me. I'm not discounting my value in this situation. I'm simply saying I know what I'm worth, but instead of me discounting my value, I'm willing to just help you. Versus I'm super egotistical, and I definitely need to be paid, whatever the number is, 10,000, 20,000, 100,000. And I'm not willing to move on that because that's what it takes to run my lifestyle. That's a totally different thing. So you have to walk this fine line of knowing when your ego is getting in the way and being able to just drop those walls and say, like, I am not my title. Look, because if a plane crashes or we have a COVID-19 epidemic, no one cares what your title is. It's irrelevant. And so that doesn't play a role in how much you are valued at. You're still going to remain valuable.
Right. No, that's really interesting. Okay. Yeah. And then what other questions I have for you here?
Are you just going to mash this together at the end? Are you going to
What's
just
that?
mash this together at the end, or we're live?
Oh no, we're live.
Okay.
Yeah. And oh yeah, and during your morning routine, you mentioned you do your exercise. Do you do any sort of meditation, writing, journaling?
So my writing and my journaling comes when I want to write a book. And so that's just something that I've sort of done. But meditation I do every single day pretty religiously. But that's at the end of the day, not the beginning of the day. And I think it just helps me
Oh, okay.
fall asleep. Because I think as entrepreneurs, really even as parents, a lot of things are going through your head at the end of the day, about worries and stress and you got to do this and all this kind of other stuff. So in order to just get all of this stuff out of your head. And look, meditation doesn't have to be laying down. It doesn't have to be sitting up. Meditation can mean anything, and it can be a variety of things to different people. So it's super important that you know how meditation works for you and just cleanse it out of your mind, because once your mind is clear, you're able to sleep at night. And, worry cost the same amount as not worrying. So, if you didn't worry, you would get better sleep, and that's going to help you focus on the things that you want to achieve.
No, for sure. And I noticed that you've visited a lot of countries and you're really heavily involved in philanthropy. What is your favorite country that you visited, and where, and yeah, like what kind of philanthropy do you do?
So it's various different types of philanthropy, but my favorite country is by far Abu Dhabi, which is a really weird country to say. But I love it because when you land, you're just engulfed in like sounds and sights and smells. Your body is completely overwhelmed by everything that is there. And the same can be true for other countries. Like India is a great example of that. So in terms of philanthropy, I've given to various different organizations. I've given to various different individuals. I've invested in a variety of different businesses. I've mentored, I don't know, dozens of individuals personally and professionally. I do podcasts and stuff like that with free advice. And so philanthropy is not just writing a check. And I think that's where people go wrong. Even though I love to write checks, what I love more is being able to see the impact of those checks. So typically before writing a check, I actually go into an organization and just look at their process and see how their process is and who they're able to impact and how that impact is playing out. So one of my favorite organizations is actually like a Feeding the Children organization out of Dallas, Texas. And so their after school program feeds about 3,500 children the last meal of the day. And it's because these kids are expected to do homework and expected to do sports and expected to go to school the next morning and focus, but they never had their last meal of the day. So this organization literally drops off meals at 6 different schools, and it's about 3,500 meals. And I was able to just pack the lunches and then get on the van and deliver these lunches to schools. And I'll never forget, like, this teacher grabbed a lunch and she's like, I'm so grateful that you guys do this because I wouldn't be able to eat if I wasn't able to get this from you. And I was thinking, like, even the teachers at their own expense cannot afford to eat. And that's a very difficult thing to handle when you're in a first world country, and this is the United States of America, the land of the greatest opportunity. And so to know that there's all kinds of organizations out there making an impact is important. And so after, you know, I volunteered, then of course they wrote the organization, you know, a several $100,000 check. And so it's not always about money, it's about time and money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Like they like to create an impact for your community and for your country in that way. Like that's got to feel
Yeah, I
remarkable
think the other thing is like,
to be able to do that.
yup, I've been on a completely separate, I've been on military basis, and being able to help, you know, military with PTSD and with just the various different things that they go through, because their routine is a lot stricter than mine. I mean, I would say Tim Ferriss is on the same routine as the military. Uh, so,
He definitely is.
so
Yeah.
if you know the military routine, it's pretty much like you wake up at 6 o'clock, you are out, standing until sun rises at 6:30, then you're at, you know, workout, and you're literally standing for an hour before you're even getting to move. And so this isn't a very aggressive type, demanding situation. And when you're in that affects everything that you do. So you have entrepreneurs that are like super flexible and don't really have routine at all. And then you have the military and Tim Ferriss and the really super disciplined, time blocking, consistent, demanding schedules type of individuals. And then you've got the middle of the road. I would say the middle of the road is probably the best place to be. And I would say that just because, like,
Mm-hmm.
you want to have the flexibility, because if something happens where, you know, your child needs to get out of school because their arm broke, or your dog died or something, I don't know, anything could happen, right? This is called life. You're able to
Yeah.
move stuff around, where if you aren't able to do that, you're literally just saying like, all right, I value my career over my family, over my faith, over my fitness, over every other thing. What I'm doing right now trumps anything that else that's going on. And there are definitely situations that need to have that type of discipline. Like when I write books, I'm exactly that way. I will say like, don't bother me, don't bring me lunch, don't even come near me, like, because I'm very into the task that I'm doing. So I think that there are tasks that you have to be like, get away from me. But then I think that there are other things that you should have like this flexible schedule.
For sure, for sure. And like I feel like I'm definitely more middle of the road. Like I have, you know, like you said, you have your areas of intensity of your routine that are much more intense than others. Like when it
Right.
comes to working out, I prefer intensity over duration, like time. Like I'd rather go flat out for 15 to 30 minutes rather than do work out, you know, like too many times a week. Like it just worked better, and I'm getting more bang for my buck because of the I
I
do
was
HIIT
gonna
training,
just, yep.
and it's like you're yeah, yeah, because I did used to work out for 45 minutes to an hour for years. I've been consistently working out for the last decade. But what I realized was it just wore me down. It just destroyed my stamina, wore me down because I was, you know, I was doing sports and doing weightlifting. But to do all that, you need to stay consistent. To have more consistency, you need to scale it down and do more intense workouts. A couple times a week versus like
It's
5 days
interesting
a
that you
week.
use the word scale
And
it down, because I would actually say that it's scale it up, right? So
yeah,
you're scaling up the intensity and you're scaling
yeah,
down the volume. Um, and
yeah,
the same is
volume,
true
yeah,
in
yeah.
like business. Like you scale up the intensity or like the value of what you're presenting, and then you scale down how many clients you take. So for working out, it's like super important. I've lost almost half my body weight. So I you know, you just have to know what works for your body. Now, I will say that there are some diets I follow and some diets that I think are ridiculous.
Definitely, I can agree with that. Yeah.
And so one of my like closest friends is on this keto diet, and I said, "You do understand that keto is 25 grams of carbs every single day, no more, no less, and you can't count them the way you're counting them." And so he's very like, "Hey, listen, I'm a bioengineer. I know what keto is, and I know how this works in the body." I was like, "Dude, I can tell you your self-confidence sucks right now because you never take your shirt off. And like, so we have this back and forth of what is keto. And this goes on for like a lot of variations of programs. It could go on for Jenny Craig, could go on for HIIT training. Like, could even, like, I have this argument about squats. Like, dude, you're doing squats wrong. You're doing it so that you get injured. That's not how you do a squat.
Yeah, no,
And so,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
people have different levels of education. And so, even though you might know something, like, I know about keto, and I know about how to do squats. These two things I know without question. But if you looked at me, you would say, well, she probably doesn't know because she's still, like, not, I don't have, like, the perfect body, which is fine. But it doesn't mean I'm not educated. So I think that we make this presumption that someone that doesn't look a certain way isn't educated about something. And this happens a lot in sports and fitness. And that's not necessarily true. They're very educated in something, but they're lacking the discipline to actually get the body of their dreams or actually, you know, follow the food routine or follow the fitness routine or increase their intensity or whatever the thing is.
yeah, yeah. It's one of those things. Like there's definitely a lot of people in the fitness industry that are varying levels of fitness, right? And because of their discipline, and because they're that might mean they have different priorities than other people, right? That's the only thing. It's like it's whatever your priorities are in the moment and during that phase of your life. It comes down to your priorities. And before, like for myself, age 19 to I'd say 23, I was absolutely obsessed with
Mm-hmm.
building a great body and physique. And I was absolutely so disciplined, dialed in with the nutrition and stuff. And as of right now, I'm more focused on, building my online business and building my brand and getting my message out there. Because I want to help millennial professionals reach peak mental and physical performance. So it's like for myself, it's like that hybrid of like, I'm very intrigued by psychology and learning how people think and what their success principles are. I find that very fascinating, and then also the fitness, how they stay fit and how they stay mentally sharp. Because, like you said, getting that fitness, whether you like it or not, getting that done first thing in the morning, it just gives you this surge of energy the rest of the day. Depending how doesn't matter how the day goes, it gives
Yeah,
you
and
that
it's weird
edge.
because like I take a nap from like 1 to 1:30, and for some reason I can pick up like 3 or 4 extra hours of work on the end of the day. Like normally, like I wasn't
Oh
able to
yeah,
do that until I inserted take nap. And so, like,
yeah,
even
yeah,
though like most professionals in corporate America would look at that and say, take nap, are you out of your mind? You can act like, so
yeah.
this is what I've seen, Alex, and I'm sure you've seen something very similar. It's like where your, let's say, H-1B visa people, that's going to be like your Indians, your Latinos, your cultured workers that are over here on working visas. These guys work 70 hours a week from sun up to sundown, and every hour in between they do not stop, they do not do fitness, they do not focus on their family. Everything is consumed with work. And literally what happens is they have no energy, they are lacking sleep, their stamina goes down, their levels of functionality go down, and they've done like everything to ruin their internal hard drive. Meaning that everything that they think
Yeah,
that they're doing
yeah,
that's good is terrible. So then you've got like other people who are your very, very high achievers that are doing almost the exact opposite, taking tons of time to read the news. Bill Gates is famous for this. So is Warren Buffett. I mean, reads 18 papers a day. Like, do you know how many hours that takes? But that's strategy. Like, this is strategy to get
yeah,
energy and to somehow magically get more hours in the day than you would have. And you never feel tired and you never feel lethargic or like you're lacking stamina. You never not have time to work out or, do the things that are the most important so that you can achieve higher levels of success. And so when one says like, how do I get this level of success? It's not do more work or work harder or work faster or even work smarter. It is stop doing all those things. and do
Yeah. That are detrimental to your health or your, you know, your
yeah,
building
like
your wealth.
mentally they strain you. Like you're just mentally like
Yeah.
attacked from all sides, and then it's creating like a whole terrible side effects, just terrible side effects.
Yeah, yeah. And I can relate. I like, you know, I definitely I don't know if I could do like 70 hours a week because I'm currently working full time while building
Mm-hmm.
my online business. And I have to be very strategic because it's all about, for myself, it's all about energy expenditure, and I want to maintain very high energy levels. So, like you said, I utilize the time chunking, and yeah, 60 to 90 minutes. I'll do that between once and twice a day. I'll during the work week, and I try and do it, yeah, Monday to Friday because that's my work schedule. So I try and do, you know, like blog posts, YouTube video in the morning, or I'll do the videos, batch produce them on the weekend, and the podcast episodes, and then I'll publish them and post everything, you know, on the weekdays and schedule them. So then I'm just kind of doing, it's like the fine tuning during the week and then the batch processing during the weekend, right, for right now. And then over time, I know that's gonna add up. It's small. It's way less than a lot of other people. You know, I definitely can't do 70 hours a week, but I know in the future when I go full time, you know, if I have to do 70 hours a week, I will because it's my passion. You know what I'm doing right now. I want to make it go full time, but I know it's going to take time, and I just have to be really patient. And I think the biggest thing that I was lacking for a number of years was
Yeah.
patience.
I can say like so many things on patience. Like everything that you get into requires a different level of patience. So when you're in a big project, you're required to have a ton of patience.
Yeah, no, for sure. And especially if you're trying to, you know, build an online business or, you know, build up your clientele, if you're, you know, doing consulting, it all takes a different level of patience and
It
discipline.
does
So
indeed. And I think the thing is that, a lot of us want to run around and do whatever we want to do, but, just sitting down and chunking time blocks out is the most important thing that you could do because it allows you to just stop task switching and start doing the hard things that actually get the results. And once you do so there's a saying that I live by: if you do the hard things, life will be easy. If you do the easy things, life will be hard. So yeah, you can go eat fast food, your life is going to suck. But if you cook, your life is going to be easy because you're going to have more energy to do all the things that you want to achieve in a very shortened and condensed period of time. So do all the things that are hard and your life will be easy. Do all the things that are easy and your life is going to be hard.
that's a good one. Yeah. Yeah. The hard way is the easy way.
Well, it makes it easy, but it still sucks.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, no, it's never enjoyable, no. But it's got to be done. Yeah, like
Ugh.
taxes, like I just despise doing taxes. Like I'm looking forward to the, you know, phase where I can just delegate all that
Well,
stuff in the future, but for right now I got to do it
do
all on
you
my
have a
own, but
strategy for that?
yeah. Well, yeah, like because I'm from Canada, so there's like TurboTax, you know, I can utilize, but I'm still, you know, in the beginning stages of my business, so it's like, you know, when I was looking into it for getting help with it, it's like it still would cost me 100 to 200 bucks to go see the account just for the advice, and then to do the return, like another however much my return would be. So it's pretty steep. So I'm just trying to conserve capital as much as I can. Um, but still, yeah, still trying to research other ways I can, yeah, like save time on that. Just because I just
So,
don't want to
one,
do it
you should
myself.
not be doing it yourself. I'm going to give you that advice right up front. Go find a professional, do it, because when the IRS comes back, if they ever come back, you don't want to be the one held liable because you're going to be the one in question. You should probably have somebody that knows what they're doing be held responsible for that. But the second piece of advice is more important than the first. So every single month at a minimum, really you should be doing this on a weekly basis, but because you're fairly new to the game, every month go through every bank statement, every credit card statement, any account that you use money out of, and literally just handwrite it on a piece of paper with a pen. Like, spent this money on food, spent this money on groceries, spent this money on salon. So everything in your bank account is itemized. And so, like, on a piece of paper, you're literally just putting numbers into categories, basically. So, like, $1.15 for food, $7 for salon, $20 for gas, whatever the category is. Then add up the totals for every category. And then literally the next month, do the same exact thing. So you're going to know your income, the categories of your outgoing expenditures, and then how up or down those things are in terms of fluctuation every month. And so at the end of the year, all you have to do is take January through December and add up the categories. And then you're going to say, spent this much on my telephone bill, spent this much on my rent, spent this much on my car, spent this much on food, spent this much in retail, spent this much in the salon. Like, everything is already done for you. So it's not this massive task that you're doing at the end of the year.
Yeah. And actually, recently this year, I have started doing that. I put it all in an Excel spreadsheet, and then I have all the receipts, like, and then I have like a January through December, like, kind of whatever you call it, like receipt organizer, little booklet. So I do have that in place, but still, yeah, I'm still got lots to learn for sure.
It's all a learning curve when it comes to taxes, and the categorizing it and doing it on a monthly / I do it a daily basis, but that's because that's how much money is going in and out. But you really just need to focus on what you're good at. And obviously, like, I'm probably gonna guess that you're not that great at money if you hate taxes. People that are good at taxes love money, and vice versa. So for those of us that don't like taxes, that's not where we should be spending our time. And so, we just put it in categories and send it off at the end of the year. Somebody else can handle that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'll definitely do that. And then I had a few more questions for you there. This has been an awesome, awesome episode. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, and what would be you've been an entrepreneur for the last 13 years. What would be the greatest lesson or key takeaway from your time as an entrepreneur, and greatest learning lesson?
Probably don't be so hubris. And then people are like, what's hubris? So
yeah.
Okay,
I've never heard that word. So
basically is like you're saying that you can. So I'll give you an example. Like, I said to a guy that I was dating one time, I could be the president of the United States, and he was like, I don't think so. And I was like, in my mind, mentally, I was like, literally, I can do anything I want to do. But let's be real, I'm not even 35 yet, so I can't even fill those shoes. But but it's like saying that you can achieve something that is not really all that realistic. So unless you have this grand plan of action, you probably shouldn't have said that you could achieve that. So, like, for people that are 400 pounds saying, like, oh, I'm going to go enter this fitness contest and win first place, that's being hubris. No, you're not. Like, the reality to the situation doesn't equate. So, a lot of times I said I could achieve something in a certain period of time. But reality was completely different. Like, I didn't have the resources or the education. I didn't have the money. I didn't have whatever. Like, and Tony Robbins calls this, being able to achieve something, like, is always going to take longer than what we think. It's always going to cost more than what we've, calculated. And it's always going to require more resources than we currently have on hand. So just know that when you get started, and you'll be fine. But most of us still think that regardless of this lack of resources or lack of money or lack of anything else, we can achieve these things.
Right. No, for sure. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into being an entrepreneur and a business owner, and it's a steep learning curve if you haven't learned from someone that has their own business, or if your family has either.
Right. Well, and that's the thing, because every business is completely different. Every profit margin is completely calculated based on the product or service. Like, And no two systems run exactly the same way, but it's all based around the people, the process, and then the profitability. So you got to have the right people in place. You got to have a plan of action, and then you got to have the profit margins to back up whatever the overhead of the business is.
Yeah, that's when you were
I
saying that
did
planning
say
people
that, yep.
profits. Yeah. Yeah, right on. And what else do I have down here? Oh, and what would be some of the best advice from your clients that they've told you?
Okay, so I'm gonna give this advice, and if you have sensitive ears, you should not. You should probably just stop this podcast. But basically, the advice was really spectacular in my eyes. So they said that like sales is like an orgasm. So you start off small, meaning that you give something of value that's small. In a relationship, it could be like you just start out kissing. In a business, it could be just like you give a free video or they saw you on YouTube or something like that. And then you work up to the orgasm. So you're adding all of these different variations of what you can offer in between, all the way up to like the big bang. And at the end, the client is so happy that they're telling everybody else about your product or service. It's ultimately what you want. So you want to seduce your clients like you seduce your spouse.
It's a very interesting piece of
It makes
advice.
sense though.
Yeah, no, for sure. And is there any other things you want to add, or for our listeners, or where we can
So you
find
can
you?
find me on melissakrivachek.com. That's KRIV as in Victor ACHEK.com. Google me, whatever you want to do. I've been in plenty of magazines and podcasts and all that kind of fun stuff. Yes, I do have 10 books. Number 11 is coming out shortly. And then, yeah, I mean, if you just want to reach out, shoot an email to staff@melissakrivachek.com and either myself or my team will answer. And I think it's super important that, we can share value with people and just be a resource for people, because at the end of the day, like, we all started somewhere once upon a time, and that's never left my mind, because no matter how successful you get, you have to remember that
Where you
yeah, but
started?
also
Yeah.
like when you reach a certain state or pinnacle or mindset, it's like I was you're trying to run away from poverty. So you're moving the poverty gap further and further away from where you are. And that's the thing about the 1% is their fear is that they don't want to go back to poverty, which is where they started. So they're always going to do everything in their power to make sure that that doesn't happen. And the way that they ensure that doesn't happen is by providing massive value to the marketplace.
Okay. No, that's really good. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast, Melissa. And I'll have to listen to your podcast. I've been listening to a few different ones lately, and from some of the guests that I've had on, I've been getting some awesome different perspectives and seeing things through a different lens, which I really appreciate. So awesome to have you on the
Awesome. Thanks,
podcast,
Alex,
and
for
you
having
take
me.
care.